kind of ignoring me out there, and I'm going to have to really have 50 kids here.
Okay.
I'll go
This is the first time in a long time.
It is, and I realized, chin mask is not going well.
That's right, because the whole viral load is held in your nostrils, guys.
Oh. All right. Let's further in. That's what I was coming up to ask if you want me to.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Go herd him in. Shabbat Shalom. Good morning, good morning. We're going to begin our service this morning with the song Hine Matov. If you need the words, you can find them on page 10. Hine Matov, the text of Hine Matov means how good, how pleasant it is for us to sit here together as brothers, as sisters, family, community, friends, all of the above. And it is wonderful for us to be here this morning together to celebrate the simcha of Ben becoming bar mitzvah. So let's join together with these words of Hine Matov. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. So again, Shabbat Shalom. I am Cantor Barry. Welcome to Congregation Ahavat Chesed. It's a pleasure to see you all here today. Before I continue, I'm going to ask two things of you. One, it is the policy of our congregation that we wear masks at all times. You will see that Ben himself is not going to be required to wear a mask so that we can see his face and he can do everything that he needs to do, but everyone else here on the Bima is going to be wearing our masks. Thank you so much. And also, if you would, take a moment, in case you've forgotten, silence your cell phones. Ben has worked so hard for this day, and we don't want our ringtones to disturb the sanctity of the moment. Thank you. The prayer book that we're using this morning is called Mishkan Tefillah. It is the prayer book of the Reform movement. Because Hebrew is read from right to left, you'll find that the book itself also opens from right to left as well. We will be announcing page numbers as we move from prayer to prayer, but in the chance that we don't announce a page number, it's probably just because we've moved on to the very next page. So if you can't find where we are, just go ahead to one more page. So today we celebrate Ben becoming bar mitzvah. And you may have heard that bar or bat mitzvah means that you are now seen as a man or a woman in the Jewish tradition. Well, I'd say it's not as simple as that. I happen to have a very good rabbi friend who told me that when both of his teenager children turned 16 and got their driver's licenses, they both each individually offered to go to the grocery store for mom and dad. That was the only time they ever offered. Why? Because they could. And that's kind of like what bar mitzvah is. Ben still isn't an adult. He can't drive or vote or live on his own. But as a bar mitzvah, he now has the ability to lead his community in worship. By preparing for this service today, he's showing that he's willing to take on the responsibilities of being a part of this community. And of course, bar mitzvah coincides with adolescence, when ideally all of our children are taking on more responsibility at home and increased ownership of making decisions in school and with friends. So it's an important milestone that we're going to witness today. But we're not just here to watch. Our services are meant to encourage participation. So there are going to be lots of times when we ask you to read along with us or join us in song. And I say, join wherever you feel comfortable. So it is my honor now to invite Ben to the Bima, and he's going to begin with a reading that you'll find on page 170 in your prayer book.
May my life be one link in a chain of goodness. As I say the prayers of my ancestors, help me to recall their devotion and faithfulness, their joy and suffering, which in every word, holiness is my heritage. May I be worthy of it. May our tradition live in me and pass from me to generations I shall never know. Enriched by the truth that I have found and the good deeds I have done, may I fulfill my task on earth and receive my blessing. And when the service ends and the prayers have ceased, help me to bring their spirit into the world in which I live. May I love God above all and my neighbor as myself, and be a living witness to the truth that never changes.
So you'll notice that I'm wearing this prayer shawl. The prayer shawl is called a talit. And the important part of the talit are actually these fringes on the bottom called the tzitzit. The tzitzit are a system of knots and strings that represent all of the commandments found in our sacred Torah scroll, which Ben is going to be reading from later on in this service. The Torah instructs us to tie these tzitzit, these fringes, on the corner of our garment, so that we may look upon them and remember the mitzvot, our Jewish imperatives. Mitzvot are connections which link us with Torah and link us with God and with our ancestors. The tzitzit adorn the edges of our prayer shawls just as the mezuzah adorns the edge of our doorways. We find holiness at the edges, between day and night, between inside and outside. And today we acknowledge that edge between childhood and adulthood. So Ben, when you wrap yourself in your talit, may you feel enfolded in the loving embrace of the divine. And when you notice your tzitzit, may you be reminded to lead a life of mitzvot and awareness. And it's my pleasure now to invite Ben's parents, Jeff and Christy, to the bima as they present him with his talit. We'll be on page 72.
As I wrap myself with in the talit, I fulfill the mitzvah of my Creator. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehit atef batzitzit. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of our universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to wrap ourselves in the fringes.
Right, so we turn now to page 74 and we'll continue with Ma Tovu. Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu, Ohalecha Yaakov. Ohalecha Yaakov, Shkenotecha Yisrael. Va'ani beruv ha'arztecha, avoitecha. Eshtachari ilecha, v'tzecha yiruteh. Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Shkenotecha Yisrael. Adonai ahavti me'od beitecha, u'mekom mishkan kvodecha, v'ani eshtachari. Ohalecha Yaakov, Shkenotecha Yisrael. Shkenotecha Yisrael. Shkenotecha Yisrael. We turn over now to page 78.
My God, the soul you have given me is pure. You created it, you shaped it, you breathed it into me, and you protect it within me. For as long as my soul is within me, I offer thanks to you, Adonai, my God and God of my ancestors, source of all creation, sovereign of all souls. Praised are you, Adonai, in whose hand is every living soul in the breath of humankind. Baruch atah Adonai, Asher b'yado nefesh kol chai v'ruach kol basar ish.
Amen. Beginning on page 80, you'll find a system of blessings that we've called Nisim b'chol yom, the miracles of every day. And each one of these blessings, they were designed to be said upon waking in the morning. And they thank God for the simplest things of being able to open our eyes, being able to move our bodies and stretch, all the things that we need to do that sometimes we take for granted. So Nisim b'chol yom is our moment to stop and thank God for those little blessings of being able to function in our daily life. So Ben is going to lead us, he's going to lead the Hebrew of the blessings, and we're all going to answer with the English translation.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasek vivina lahavehin ben yom uvein laila.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrihim.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who opens the eyes of the blind.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurihim.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who frees the captive.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokev kefufihim.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who lifts up the fallen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokach haaretz al hamayim.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who stretches the earth over the waters.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamahin mitzadei gaver.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who strengthens our steps.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumihim.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who clothes the naked.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten laev koach.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who gives strength to the weary.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavir shena me'enai utnuma me'afa pahai.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shesani b'tzel meluhim.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who made me in the image of God.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shesani ben chorihin.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who has made me free.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shesani Yisrael.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who has made me a Jew.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozir Yisrael bigviracha.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who girds Israel with strength.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam otir Yisrael b'tifaraha.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who crowns Israel with splendor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to engage with words of Torah. We continue in the middle of page 88.
These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world. While the principle remains in the world to come, they are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the story of Torah encompasses them all.
We turn now over to page 106 for the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkadash Shmei Rabbah V'yamad Yivrach Chirutei V'yamlich Malchutei B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael B'agala zeman kariv v'imiru. Amen. Yesh mirabam mevorach le'alam u'l'oli u'lamaya yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitrombam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dikucha brichu le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damir rami alema v'maru amen. We turn over to page 108, and we rise either in body or in spirit for our call to prayer, the Baruch Hu. At the top of 110. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzero Shalom, shalom, v're'etako, yotzeror, v're'icho shem, shalom, shalom, v're'etako. And we're at the top of 111.
In the beginning, even then, a new light was sown for the righteous. A promise that your light would become the catalyst, first for order and then for hope. Author of language and light, help us to use words as you have, to cast light into dark waters, and draw out justice and truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer Hamarot.
Middle of 113.
Love your neighbor as yourself, you said, and light blinded we saw. The inner and outer worlds are one, as you are one. You spoke and we wrote. We reached for you down the centuries, your light moving before us as we climbed. Fell back and climbed again, your Sinai of life. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael ba'ahava.
And on the next page, we join together with the Shema, the watchword of our faith. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam. Thank you, Lord, Machuto, Leolam Vahed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. We can be seated. And we turn together to page 116 as Ben leads us in the words of Ve'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anohi mitzavecha Hayom alavavecha, Vishinantam levanecha, Vedibartam bam, Beshivtecha beveitecha, Uvlechtecha vaderech, Ukshokbecha uvkumecha, Ukshartam leod al yadecha, Vehayu letotafod bein einecha, Uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha, Uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'askitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelochehem ani Adonai Elochehem asher hotzeiti ethem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lahem lelohim ani Adonai Elohehem.
We continue on page 121, and we'll read responsively with Ben in the middle of the page.
The eternal truth is that you alone are God and there is none else.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor? Asks God.
We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Praise to God Most High.
Blessed is God and deserving of blessing. And at the top of the next page, we join together in Micha Mocha, our song of freedom. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha netar b'kodesh, Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha netar b'kodesh. שיבחו גאולים לשמך שפת הים יחד כולם הודו וימלאו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נגד בקודש מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נגד בקודש נורתי לו עושה פלא נורתי לו עושה פלא אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122. 122.
Yisrael, Kulma be'altrat Yisrael, Uftechen umecha, Yehuda v'Yisrael, Goleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
And we rise together as a community in body or in spirit, beginning on page 124 with the tefillah.
Adonai sefatai tiktach ufia yitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elokei avotenu v'imotenu, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, v'Elokei Yaakov, Elokei Sarah, Elokei Rivka, Elokei Rachel, v'Elokei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadin Tovin, Vikonei Hakol, Vizoher Haste Avot Veimachot, Umevi Givula Livnei V'Nehem, Lima'an Shemo V'Yahabaha, Melech Ozer Moshia Umegain, Baruch atah Adonai, Megain Avraham V'Yitzrak Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atara Lehoshia, Mashif HaRuach Umuri HaGashem, Mechalkel Hayim Behesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Ramim, Somech Novim V'Yofei Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umechayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Nemit Umechayem, Umatzmir Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'hayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol.
Nikadesh et shimcha ba'olam, kishem shemakdishim oto b'shmi marom, kakatuv al yad neviyecha, v'kara zeh ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzivot, Meloch ha'aretz, Kivodo, Adir, Adirenu Adonai, Adonenu Madir, Shimacha b'chol ha'aretz, Baruch kevod Adonai mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu hu Malkeinu, hu Moshiheinu v'hu Yashmienu, b'rachamav le'enei kochai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Imloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai b'Tzion, ledor vador, Hallelujah. Ledor vador nagid golecha, u'netzach netzachim kedushatcha nagdish, v'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai HaKadosh. Let's be seated. And we continue at the top of page 132 with the words of Yismechu that reminds us that we are supposed to celebrate and rejoice each Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachotecha shomeri, 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 Shabbat likoreh unek Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachotecha shomeri, 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 Shabbat likoreh unek Shabbat. Mikodeshi, mikodeshi, Shabbat. Kulam yisbu, v'yitangu mitzulecha Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachotecha shomeri, 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 Shabbat likoreh unek Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachotecha shomeri, 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 Shabbat likoreh unek Shabbat. Lashvi ratzita bo v'kiddushto Shabbat. Chemdat yamim u'karat Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachotecha shomeri, 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 Shabbat likoreh unek Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachotecha shomeri, 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 Shabbat likoreh unek Shabbat. Zeru lemase v'rishit Shabbat. Zeru lemase v'rishit Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachotecha shomeri, 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 Shabbat likoreh unek Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachotecha shomeri, 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 Shabbat likoreh unek Shabbat. Our service continues at the top of page 135.
We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
137.
Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds, in our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you. In this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve and reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otha levadecha v'yirah na'avod.
On page 139, we'll find another litany of things for which we are grateful. And as the blessings that have been recited earlier in the service were those small things that we're grateful for us able to function during the day, these are much grander scale things for which we pray for, we hope for, and when we find them, we feel that we are truly blessed. So Ben is going to read each paragraph, and we're going to respond with the words, Modim anachnu lach, we give thanks to you.
For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations.
Modim anachnu lach.
For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons.
Modim anachnu lach.
For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements.
Modim anachnu lach.
For human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression.
Modim anachnu lach.
For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared.
Modim anachnu lach.
For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom.
Modim anachnu lach.
For human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose.
Modim anachnu lach.
We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lechodot.
And as we all turn over to page 140, I'm going to invite Ben to go sit down with Mr. Kaur and take a moment to breathe while we sing the words of our Birkat Shalom, our blessing for peace, page 140. Sim Shalom, Tova Uracha, Rein HaChesed Rachamim Rachamim Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yisrael Amecha, Baruchinu Yotzreinu Kulanu Ke'achad, V'Horcha Lecha, Ki V'Yor Panecha Natata Lanu, Adonai Eloheinu. Sim Shalom, Tova Uracha, Rein HaChesed Rachamim Rachamim Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yisrael Amecha, Torah Chaim Yahavat Chesed, Yahavat Chesed, Utzedaka Uvracha V'Rachamim, V'Chaim V'Shalom. Sim Shalom, Tova Uracha, Rein HaChesed Rachamim V'Rachamim Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yisrael Amecha, V'tov b'einecha levarech et Amecha Yisrael, V'chol lituvcho shach b'shlomecha. Sim Shalom, Tova Uracha, Rein HaChesed Rachamim V'Rachamim Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yisrael Anecha. We're going to take a moment now for our own silent prayers. And when we rejoin together, it will be the bottom of page 142. Oh, say shalom imrona, oh, say shalom Yisrael. Yasi shalom, yasi shalom. Shalom aleinu, yalko Yisrael. Yasi shalom, yasi shalom. Shalom aleinu, yalko Yisrael. Yasi shalom, yasi shalom. Shalom aleinu, yalko Yisrael. Moving now into the next section of our service. It's called Seder Kriyat HaTorah, which is the service for the reading of Torah. And of course, this is what Ben has been working so hard for. Our Torah scroll, which you'll see when we open the Ark in a moment, the Torah scroll holds the 5 books of Moses: Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, I went in the wrong order, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. And just a couple weeks ago, we started the scroll all over again because about a month ago, we celebrated Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year. So we start our Torah scroll over on a holiday called Simchat Torah, which means we rejoice with the Torah. So Ben has one of the earliest Torah portions in the whole Torah. Last week was Bereshit, creation, and this week is Noach. Every week of the year is assigned a Torah portion. Now, I'm sure you're familiar with the story of Noah and the flood and the animals who came on the ark 2 by 2. And while we love that story, Ben chose a different portion from that particular section of the Torah to read for us this morning. He's going to be reading for us the story of the Tower of Babel. So he's going to read from the Torah. Then he's also going to have a special reading called a Haftarah, which is a supplemental reading that comes from a different part of our Bible, the section of prophets. Now you'll see, Ben and I have a friend up here on the bima with us. That's Michael Kaur. Michael Kaur, we're grateful for many reasons that he's here today. He holds many hats, wears many hats here at our synagogue. He is a member of the Board of Trustees and Vice President of Ritual for us here. And today he's functioning for both me and for Ben. For the last couple of years, Mr. Kaur has been working with Ben as his bar mitzvah tutor. And he's going to take a role called Gabbai, where he's going to help follow along and make sure that Ben stays where he needs to when we have the Torah scroll out, and so that I can come over here and pretend to be someone else entirely. But also, Mr. Kerr is going to help me get that Torah from the Ark. So normally, you would see me and the rabbi up here, and our rabbi isn't able to be with us this morning. So Mr. Kaur is both of our right-hand man today. I feel like making that plural in Hebrew way, like retay man, hand, but that's not going to work. So we're thrilled that Michael's here to help us so that when you see him taking the Torah from the Ark, you'll know what's going on. And we're also going to, in a moment, when I have all of you rise, because we're going to open the Ark, and it's traditional to be standing when the Ark is open, we're going to invite up, so don't come up yet, we're going to invite up Ben's grandparents and parents, and we're going to engage in a tradition where we pass the Torah from generation to generation. A really important phrase in Judaism is ledor vador, from generation to generation, because all of our traditions have been passed together from generation to generation, from grandparents to parents and down for thousands of years. And that's what we celebrate today, Ben taking his place in that line of tradition. So, now I'm going to ask that we all rise. And I'm going to invite up to the bima Sharon and Dave Matthews, Amy and Joe Musher, Christy and Jeff Rosen, and of course, Ben as well. We are on page 244. Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai v'in kemasecha malachutecha malachut kol olamim u'memshaltecha b'chodor v'ador Adonai melech Adonai oz le'amoitain, Adonai yivarech et amo shalom. Ki mitzion teisei Torah, Ki mitzion teisei Torah, U'nemor Adonai b'Yerushalayim. This is the Torah. It contains the history of our people, which has been passed down from generation to generation for over 3,000 years. It's been carried by the Jewish people from land to land, even at great peril. Ben, we hope that the Torah will always be a source of comfort to you, knowing that it connects you to all the generations that have come before you. Today, we too pass the Torah from generation to generation, and as we do, we send love to Susie and Sandy Rosen, who are joining us virtually this morning, but no less a part of this beautiful tradition. And so now we pass the Torah from grandparents to parents, and parents to bar mitzvah, as Ben takes his place as the next link in this chain. Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah, Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai Iti, Uneromema Shemo Yachdav, Lecha Adonai Hagidula, V'Hagivura, V'Hatiferet, V'Hanetzach V'Hahod, Ki hu b'shamayim u'va'aretz, Ki hu b'shamayim u'va'aretz, Lecha Adonai ha'mamlacha, V'yamid na'aseh lechol erosh. You guys don't like following my hand signs, do you? It's impossible to mouth you directions. Come on over a little closer. Thank you. Thank you. Everyone can be seated. All right. Everything's there. You got it. Okay. Okay, so you'll be able to follow along with Ben as he reads his Torah portion. You should have gotten a larger piece of paper with a staple in it that has his Torah portion, his Haftarah portion, and also our closing song for a little bit later. So over here, yep. So for the honor of the first Aliyah, we invite to the Torah Ben's grandparents, Sharon and Dave Matthews, and Amy and Joe Masha.
Baruch Hu es Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, Haman v'natan lanu es Toraso. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vayehi chol haaretz safa echad udvarim achadim. Vayehi benase am mikerem vayimseu vika be'eretz nar vayeshvu sham. Vayomeru ish el re'ehu hava nilbana levenihim v'nisrefa lisrefa vatehi lahem halvena le'aven v'chachemar haya lahem lachomer.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'natan b'anu es Torah emes v'chayim olim v'atah b'tzorchenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. It works. Don't worry. Hugs and kisses all around.
Well done, sweetheart.
Thank you. For the honor of the second Aliyah this morning, we're going to invite to the Bima Ben's parents and his sister, Jeff and Christy and Andrea Rosen. Ya'amdu Abba Yitzchak ben Shmuel Israel ve'ahuva Karmiya Shalva ben Abraham v'Sara ve'amitza Yardena bat Abba Yitzchak ve'Karmiya Shalva l'Aliyah Torah.
Baruch Adonai Amvorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Ba'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vayomeru hava nivne lanu ir umidal verosho vashamayim v'na'aseh lanu shem penafutz al penei chol ha'aretz vayered Adonai lirot et ha'ir v'hamidal asher banu b'nei ha'adam vayomer Adonai hein aham echad v'safa achat lechulam v'zeh chachilaham la'asot v'yata lo yipatzer mehem kol asher yazmu la'asot.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. For the honor of the third and last Aliyah this morning, it is my privilege to call officially as Bar Mitzvah Ben Rosen, Ya'amod Binyamin Matan Ben Abba Yitzchak v'Karmiya Shalva Bachur Bar HaMitzvah la'Aliyah LaTorah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Amvorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Hava Nirda V'navla Sham Sifatam Asher Lo Yishme'u Yish Sifat Re'ehu Vayafetz Adonai Otam Misham Al Penei Kol Ha'aretz Vayachtelu Livnot Ha'ir O Cain, Karaha, Shema, Bavel, Kisham, Balal, Adonai, Sephat, Kol Haaretz, Umisham, Hefitzam, Adonai, Al Panei, Kol Haaretz. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tohenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. It's our tradition while we're in the presence of the Torah to say a prayer for those who are in need of healing. So we are all going to turn together to page 253. Misha barach avotenu ve'imotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'Sara Rivka Rachel v'Leah hu yivarech et hacholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. Our congregation is especially thinking of James Allen, Carol Babcock, Donna Berlin, Paula Best, Susan Board, Rosalie Teddy Bono, Fran Coffey, Adele and Harold Cohen, Marilyn Datz, Tom Davis, Devorah Bat Rachel, Helene Edwards, Sarah Fabian, Art Fields, Mehmet Gunas, Dr. Randall Haas, Judy Halperin, Margaret Hare, Mary Hartman, Jules Hildebrandt, Barry Kaufman, Robert Kay, Janet Kennedy, Hazel Mack, Andrea Mitchell, Andrew Mitro, Tina Naper, Jeff Nykirk, David Osofsky, Laura Osofsky, Bert Peters, Yuri Polanski, Buddy Pollock, Jean Posen, Randall Rout, Marlene Reb, Sandra Resnikoff, Neil Schreiber, Alex Rosen, Adele Shamban, Judy Shea, Ruthie Silver, Alan Smith, Nicholas Sobek, Barbara Strindberg, Judy Van Gorder, Caroline Wenk, David Weston, Marlene Widrich, Marla Stein Johannes. And if you have a name of someone in your life who's in need of healing, you can go ahead and share those names. I'm going to come around the sanctuary. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, and let us say together, Amen. And we join in the song in the middle of the page. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body We're going to take a few moments now to lift and dress the Torah as Ben gets ready to read for us his Haftarah and his speech. So I'm going to invite to the Bima Ben's dad, Jeff Rosen, to come lift the Torah, and our temple president, Miriam Greenhut, who has graciously agreed to sit with said Torah on her lap for a little while this morning. Let us all rise. Vezot HaTorah asher sa Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai biyad Moshe. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Yay, lay, 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 lay. Yay, lay, 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 lay. Yay, lay, 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 lay. Yay, lay, 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 yay, lay, 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 lay. Yay, lay, 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 lay. Yay, lay, 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 lay. Lay, 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 lay. Lay, 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 lay. All right, a successful dressing. We can all sit down. Thank you so much, Miriam. Ben, come on over. Our Haftarah this morning comes from the book of Isaiah, chapter 54. Now, every Haftarah reading, that reading from the book of prophets, was chosen a couple thousand years ago to go with each weekly Torah portion. Now, Ben's not reciting the entire Haftarah, so it's hard to find the connection from the portion that Ben is going to be chanting. But much, much later in this Haftarah, there is a line where Isaiah reminds us that God promised never to flood and destroy the earth again like God did in the days of Noah. So that was the reason for choosing this particular section of Isaiah to go with Parshat Noach, the Torah portion for this Shabbat. So you can follow along in your packet again as Ben recites for us his Haftarah, beginning with the blessing before.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah Uv Moshe Avdo, Uv Yisrael Amo, Uvinviei Ha'emet V'Tzedek. Rani Akara Lo Yalada, Pitzhi Rina V'Sahali Lo Chala, Ki Rabim B'nei Shomei Maha, Mi B'nei Ve'ula, Amar Adonai, Harhivi Mekahom Acholech, Viriot Mishkenotayich, Yatu Al Tachsochi, Ha'arichi Metarayich, Vitedotayich Hazeki Ki Yamin Usmo Tifroti V'zar'ech Goyim Yirash V'arim Neshamot Al Yoshivu Al Tiri Ki Lo Hivoshi V'alti kalmi ki loho tachpiri ki voshet alumayich Tishkachi v'herpat al minutayich lo tiskari achod ki vo alayich osayich Adonai sevarot shemo v'go alech kadosh Yisrael Elohei Chol haaretz Yikareh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sor kol ha'olamim sadik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer v'yoseh hamdaber umkayem shekol devarav emet v'tzedek al ha'torah v'yan vodah v'al yom v'al hanvi'im v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha l'chayvod ultif'aret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umavarachim otach yitbarak shimha befi chol chai tamid leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen.
Yashakach ben. Part of becoming bar mitzvah is not just reading from the Torah, and I know that we were already impressed that that happened, but we also expect our students to study a bit of what their Torah portion means and be able to find meaning in it. And the speech that Ben is going to deliver for us now is called the Devar Torah, which means words on Torah. So he's going to do a little teaching for us.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Thank you all for being here today to celebrate with me as I become bar mitzvah. My Torah portion is Noach. It comes from the book of Genesis, which is the first book of the Torah. Noach is about the story of the flood in the Tower of Babel. We are mostly all familiar with the story of Noah and the ark, and that it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. The flood was God's way to cleanse and reset all of the earth. In my studying, I focused on the Tower of Babel, which is about the Babylonian people building a tower in civilization to be closer to heaven. This act was not liked by God. God wanted to teach the people of Babylon a lesson. He created a division within the people by confusing them with many different languages so they could not communicate. This division even happened within tribes and families of Babylon. The interesting thing is that I was assigned this portion long before we were in this pandemic. Isn't it ironic that I never had a chance to write my speech for what would have been my bar mitzvah last year? It's almost like it predicted the future. The reason I chose the story of Babel is because it relates to our current situation. It relates by showing the confusion that we had when COVID hit us, just like the people in the story. We were unsure what to do and didn't know how to handle ourselves. During COVID, it was hard to communicate. We got mixed messages from our leaders and couldn't even trust or understand our own friends and family. The way God resolves the story is that a man is to be born and teach a new way. His name was Abraham. Our resolution was wearing masks, social distancing, sanitizing, and the vaccine. These help slow the spread of COVID and even stop in some parts of the world. What I learned from this Torah portion is that you shouldn't be greedy, just like the people in the story. An example of us being greedy is when we bought all the toilet paper out of all the supermarkets. People panicked, causing a colossal shortage when we could have stayed calm and helped each other. I enjoyed my portion because I had a lot to relate to it and that I had 2 years of preparation, so it made it easy. Becoming bar mitzvah to me means that I am a man in the eyes of Judaism and that I have more independence. As for bar mitzvah, I will have a lot more responsibility for myself and others. I thank you all for being here today and helping me to this day. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for supporting me and taking me to Hebrew practices. Thank you, Mr. Kaur, for being my instructor for these 2 years and helping my progression from just barely reading Hebrew letters to now reading and chanting whole paragraphs. Thank you, Cantor, for your guidance and teaching. Thank you, Andrea, for paving the way for me and supporting me. Finally, thank you all for being here.
Yashikula. Thank you, Ben.
We invite now to the Bima Ben's aunt and uncle, Kim and Steve Matthews, to read for us the prayer for our country on page 258.
Do I go sit down?
Thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and untie the cords of lawlessness, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke, share your bread with the hungry, and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing, and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in the darkness.
O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those that have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen.
We'll turn now back to page 256 and we'll rise as we return the Torah to the Ark. Once more. Ben's going to come over to the podium, and now I'm going to invite Jeff and Christy back up to the bima.
All right, I thought I got my tears out. Let's see. Nope. Okay. Ben, before I go into how proud I am of you and what this ritual, this ceremony, this gathering means to me, to you, to our family and friends, I'd like to tell a story about you when you were about 2. We were a busy family. Most families are. And we were walking home from the park, just you and I was telling you to hurry up. I was probably saying something like, come on, let's go, we gotta go, chop, chop. But you had stopped and you were looking up at the clouds and said, Mommy, wait. Mommy, look. Aren't they beautiful? Can we just stop and look up at the clouds? Truth be told, I wasn't too keen on stopping for one more second to look at anything, but I did. We stood there and we looked up at the clouds and marveled at their beauty. And it was at that moment that solidified what I already knew to be true. You are thoughtful in a way that not everyone will understand or appreciate, but this is your truth. You know how to stop and see the beauty in the ordinary. You see things differently and can interpret the world around you that makes sense to you. You are a connector. You are a peacemaker. You are an interpreter. If we look again at your Torah portion, where the people of Babylon are pitted against each other, their language and means of communication have broken down, and they've built up barriers around their community and have turned away from goodness. But then a single man, Abraham, was sent by God to create a community with a purpose to grow and prosper while honoring their faith in God. Ben, there's no way to know what your grand purpose in life will be or where your curiosity will take you. But what is known is that you too will be that one young man. Abraham was not young, but Ben's young. Who with the ease with which you make friends, with your wit, with your humor, with your gracious spirit, you are going to break down barriers and unify the people around you. Ben, I am so proud of you and your efforts that brought you to this day. You were adamant that you be able to stand up here on this bema in front of your friends and family and show us what you are capable of. And oh boy, did you show us. I love you, Benny Bacon.
Ben, I am so proud of you. Before I say a few words, breathe. Take a deep breath, just take in this moment. And Christy, breathe as well. Look out the people that are here today. They're here to celebrate and support you, your friends, your family. Take a moment. This is your day. So look out, everyone. Really try to remember the moment and let it sink in. Ben, when I was thinking of what to say about you, I kept coming back to 3 words: diligent, respectful, and kind. This is who you are at your core. Your preparation for this day took a lot longer than most. Given the delay with COVID, you diligently studied twice over the course of 18 months without complaint or frustration. You simply wanted to be prepared and were self-directed in your study. Respectful. Everyone here today knows that you always show respect to people, to teachers, to the community, to your pets. Kind. You are such a sweet soul. You seek out the good and add positive energy to any group, and you give the best hugs. Sorry, Andrea. To be a good Jew is to be a mensch, often defined as a person with integrity and honor, driven by innate decency. But more than that, your traits of diligence, respect, and kindness are at the root of being a mensch, of being a fundamentally good person. Let this continue to guide your actions towards friends and the broader community, and may you enjoy each moment with a positive outlook. On behalf of your mom and I, we would like to thank everyone who's here today to share in your bar mitzvah experience. Each of you adds to the community of worship, and we really appreciate your support. To Canterbury and Michael Kaur, thank you for your teachings and guidance with Ben in today's service. And Ben, you're awesome sauce. We are so proud of you.
And now it's my privilege to call upon Michael Kaur in his capacity as a representative of our Board of Trustees.
Well, Ben, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you. You hold the record as my longest student, and that's an award that is well deserved. And you also earned the award for perseverance because you wanted to do this. You showed that you wanted to do it, and you did a great job. I mean, last spring. Not this past spring, year ago past spring, you were ready to do your tour portion. And you decided that you were going to wait. And when we came back together, it was like we never left. You knew everything right away. Boom, boom, boom. You've just done a great job. And yasher koach to you. So, on behalf of the temple and the board, we have gifts to give you. You have a Kiddush cup from the Board of Trustees, candlesticks from Sisterhood, a mezuzah from the clergy, and a travel edition of Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, from Brotherhood. As well, you also get a special gift from the Children of the Holocaust. And it's very important that we say this because there were over 1.5 million children that perished in the Holocaust. And there's a special program, the Children of the Holocaust, who has have been having a program where we remember those children and because they didn't have the opportunity to have a bar bat mitzvah. And it would be nice, at the back of your program, you'll see the background of the young man who Ben has chose to remember, and is a very, very telling story. So, we also have certificates for you. There is a certificate for your bar mitzvah, and a certificate for the Children of the Holocaust, and you are given a special gift from the Jewish Federation of Jacksonville. The certificate enrolls you in the Federation's Joan Levin Gift of Israel program, and where the Federation will provide a subsidy of up to $700 to apply toward a journey to Israel, which can be used for almost any organized Israel experience. An additional certificate for $250 from NFTY, the National Federation of Temple Youth, for any NFTY program in Israel. And once again, we will look forward to sharing many more occasions with you as you continue your journey into your temple life. And once again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Way to go. We'll leave these up here for you.
Thank you, Michael. Don't go anywhere.
So Ben, it has been a pleasure working with you and getting to know you. Some of our many lessons together took place over Zoom during that first go-around. But it's been so nice to be able to meet with you and to have these rehearsals with you on the bima and watch you take control, take ownership of this bima, and know in your heart of hearts that you were going to lead us so beautifully today. Mazel tov. And today you take responsibility for your own Jewishness and your own practice of the mitzvot. Becoming bar mitzvah means that the Torah is yours in a new and deeper way, yours to learn and to teach, to question, and to celebrate. Becoming bar mitzvah means that the mitzvot, the commandments, are yours in a new and deeper way, yours to practice and to wrestle with and to strive to understand. Today, as you reach the age of mitzvah, you mark a milestone in your transition to adulthood. Though tradition teaches that today your good deeds and your mistakes accrue to your karmic balance and no longer to your parents, may they still be privileged to walk beside you and offer you guidance. And we all look forward to continuing to learn from you as you become the person you most deeply yearn to be. May we, your community, and your family and friends be a blessing to you as you are a blessing to us and to all of your family. Today marks a transition for all of you,
Whether you live under one roof or several, whether you're related by blood or affection, you are family to one another, and your lives are all impacted by this milestone. Perhaps recent months have been filled with the lilt of Torah practice. Perhaps you helped our bar mitzvah in doing acts of justice and loving kindness. Perhaps you've been a shoulder to cry on. Perhaps you've needed a shoulder to cry on. Well, take a deep breath and let it all go. Be in this moment surrounded by those who love you, celebrating this milestone with community in the presence of God. May the sweetness of this day stay with you as you walk the road ahead towards this bar mitzvah, becoming more truly the person he is meant to be. And now it is my privilege to bless you, Ben, with the ancient words of the Torah from which you chanted so beautifully this morning. And I ask that we all rise once more as we open the ark. May God bless you and keep you. May God's light shine upon you and be gracious to you. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you be given the greatest gift of all, the gift of peace. And let us say, Amen. And we remain standing, and we turn to page 282 for the Aleinu. And I also invite to the Bima at this time Ben's cousins, Sam and Toby Matthews, to join us here at the Ark. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gidon ha'leyotzeh b'reshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, velo sarmanu k'mishpachot ha'tamar, shelo samchachinu kahem, v'goralinu ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. We remain standing. And Sam and Toby are going to lead us in a beautiful reading on page 287.
May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair.
Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
Sam and Toby, you can go, everyone can be seated, and I'm even going to let Ben head down to his parents as well. Thank you so much.
Page 293. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. Our congregational family is observing the month of Shloshim for Alan Furfine, Lisa Austin, Jacob Bear, Susan Wolf, and Frank Backelman. In the Shabbat, we observe the yahrzeit, the year and of the anniversary of the death of Bernard Applebaum, Ronald Atkin, Arthur Azaroff, Isadora Barnett, Jack Bernstein, Sharon Kaufman, Frederick Alec Cohn, Rosa L. Davis, Sylvia Friedman, Marcia Hurst Glickman, Henry A. Gross, Herbert Harris, Lionel David Joel, Nathan Kazin, J. S. Kochman, Albert Kafka, Sarah Kafka, Harry Kundell, Ida Lansky, Pauline Kanner Lefkowitz, Morris Lieb, Rabbi Emmanuel Lubliner, Ida Urin, Mandel, Alvin A. Marcus, Charles Margolis, Roy Elliott Mayers, Joseph Metlin, Sylvan Miller, Jenny Monsky, Pearl Moss, John Murray, Joseph Schulhofer, Elizabeth Siegel, Lillian G. Simon, Ray Spencer, Sadie Buchholz Stein, Iris Rose Sturman, Alfred Tasman, Gail Flatto Thompson, Bertha Tobias, Rose Wexler, Bert Whitfield, Sylvia Wolfson, Gertrude Yagid. And at this time of memory, Ben's family is especially thinking as well of Jay Rosen and Alex Livingston. And if you have any names to share this morning of someone for whom you are thinking, please go ahead and share those names with us now. So for all of those whom we've named aloud and those we hold dear in our hearts, we turn together to page 294, and we rise to recite the words of Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, v'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alamu almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, amen. We can be seated, and we're going to return to our Torah pamphlet once more, to the next page, which has the lyrics of Matisyahu's One Day. This is the song that Ben chose as his closing song for this morning, and after which we will have a short Kiddush and Motzi here on the Bima. So if you know this, please join along in singing, and if you don't, you will soon. So join as soon as you feel comfortable. Sometimes I lay under the moon, thank God I'm breathing, and I pray don't take me soon, 'cause I'm here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more, there'll be no more war, and our children will play one day, one day, one day, oh, one day, one day, one day.
when they feed on the souls of the innocent. Blood-drenched pavement, keep on moving though the waters stay raging. In this maze you can lose your way, your way. It might drive you crazy, but don't let it faze you, no way, no way. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play one day, one day, one day, oh, one day, one day, one day. One day this all will change, treat people the same. Stop with the violence, down with the hate. One day we'll all be free and proud to be under the same sun, singing songs of freedom like, oh, 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 oh. All my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more war, and our children will play one day, one day, one day, oh, one day, one day, one day. All right, I'm going to invite Ben and his family up to the bima to come around the Kiddush table. Ben, why don't you pick up the Kiddush cup? It's the short one. We'll all join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim.
It's okay.
And will you uncover the challah for us? Fantastic. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. And if you'd like, you could take a little bit and pass it around, because we have a job out here. Ben did such an extraordinary job this morning, leading us in prayer, chanting from the Torah, reading his Haftarah, teaching us about Torah. All that's left is for us to wish him a mazel tov. Let me hear.
Mazel tov.
Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov. Hey, hey, lanu. Yeah, hey, lanu, hey, lanu. Mazel tov, Ben, and your entire family. We wish you a Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much for being here.
Party time.
You're so smart.
Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah, I had all my stuff and I realized that I saved the bag for I was like, I know I saved that bag for a reason.
Yay! I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
It was wonderful.
Oh gosh, thank you, Michael. Am I still on the mic?
This, and then let me.
You know, I might accidentally drop an F-bomb.
You won't be the first one. And then we go. Whoops.
It's just a knee-jerk reaction. It's like, it's one of those things that's not even controllable, you know?
Well, when it's part of your everyday language.
Thank you. This was amazing. I'm so glad it's finally happened. Oh my gosh.
A million years in the making.
It's such a huge reason to celebrate.
Yes!
And see, there'll be
You'll get a step.
they'll get a
It's
step.
totally a step for you.
And see, you don't even have to project it out there. You just have to project it loud enough to get to the microphone.
Just short.
And they give you cheat notes, right? Large print.
It's too large.
Then you won't have to worry about missing it. So look out there.
Okay, I'm looking up there. What do I do?
No, you'll get a stool.
Okay.
Now, normally, they'll tell you to project your voice so that everybody in the back can hear, right? That's what I heard. But because of modern technology, you just have to sing and say it loud enough to get to the microphone.
Hi.
There you go. See? Say test.
Test.
There you go. All right. And see, here. You've been up here before. All right. You sat in one of those chairs?
Something like that will fit perfect on the bottom of the subs, and then it's all super portable.
Okay.
That's what it was purchased for, was to be portable.
Okay.
But unfortunately, they're big pieces.
Yeah, they're really they are cumbersome.
Yeah, so.
All right, awesome. I'll tell. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Something like Unity can, put those on, pick them up, put them on dollies easy.
Yeah, that sounds like something we could make happen. How's it going, Lance?
Okay.